Hey there folks, so Tim here again. I thought I would finally get around to doing this 10 bots, 10 shots video. So basically, thanks to Jägermeister, I am, with any luck, going to get a bit drunk and talk some crap about Transformers. Right, so up first, we have Universe Cyclonus. Now, I'm not too familiar exactly how cartoon accurate he is in colours wise, because there's a couple of different shades of purple going on, but I think the figure's fantastic. I know there's been a couple of third parties, there's a Combiner Wars one coming out, but I don't really think anything is going to top this. In actual fact, even the third party stuff, I don't really know why they've bothered, because the universe mold to me nails it. You know, there's only a couple of really wee niggling things. There's a small thigh gap here, and to a degree he has visible head syndrome, but the head's turned around and it's moulded into the nose cone, so is it really that visible a head syndrome when it actually becomes part of the nose cone? It's not just sitting there or a blatant head just hanging out, you know. So I can't really fault the thing in jet mode at all, you know. He's got obviously his little partner there up on top anyway. So overall, I would have to give this like a 9 out of 10. I think really for vehicle mode, like absolutely fantastic. Now, obviously transformation, you know, it's not that really difficult. So nose cone's going to go in, thing's going to compact in, head turns round, wings split up, turn round, take in that, each arm comes down, swings out the hands. Might cut some of this out where I'm just transforming and not really talking. And the legs fold down, and you have two wee bits fold out for the heel and the foot, and the same either side. And there we go. So, standing very tall, I think, to be honest, and very nice, is Cyclonus in bot form. Now, he's quite tall, got long legs. We rub sign that, you know, if we rub we will find out that, shock and horror, he is a Decepticon. He's got himself one hand that is open that you can actually put his gun into. The other one is just a fist, which I can only assume is the fist bump. And I'm not going to knock that. Any Transformer that can fist bump, I think, is a win. So, keeping it short and sweet, Cyclonus, great articulation, great transformation. There's no kibble down the back, really. There's the cockpit, but who cares? You know, he's got his wings there, sitting nicely, which kind of come in a bit, but, you know, they don't really hinder it. He can still move his arms more or less up. You can move them all the way around. There's maybe just a wee bit of friction there as it goes round, but other than that there, they'll still turn all the way around. Elbow bends 90 degrees. Same with the knees, thigh swivels, hip joints, everything. I think all in all, again, 9 out of 10. I would obviously work doing out the math there. The figure's 9 out of 10 in general. I think an absolutely class figure. You know, so there we go. First bot, first shot, Universe Cyclonus. So folks, moving on then to number 2. We have animated Sentinel Prime. Now, I've tried to not make too many animated figures, but in all fairness, looking down at them there, I failed. I have a couple in there, and as I've said before, I absolutely love the animated line. I missed out on it whenever it was first about, so I do regret that there, but I'm glad to be able to find these gems, because, like I've said before, there's not been one animated Transformer that I actually dislike. Now, animated Sentinel Prime, very straightforward. He is a snowplow, and he's just a dinky deluxe. I think he maybe could have been bigger. I don't know. I don't care. Either way, he's just a simple wee truck. Now, he has 0 weapon storage that I can find. I have no clue where to put these or anything, but very simple, very straightforward. I like him. He's got a nice blue to him, a few wee paint apps going around, a nice Autobot symbol there in the front of the truck. You know, the ploughs there at angles, I guess, if you wanted to make sure he was ploughing snow off to the left or to the right. And straightforward. He rolls very simple. You can't see this down there, but he rolls no problemo. Much like with Cyclonus that came before him. He has very little kibble. Well, a wee bit down here in this window that angles, but that's no big deal. And it's just fun. He's a cracking transformation. So it's big chunky fists, big, wee skinny legs, more or less like he is in the animated line. And then of course you can take his weapons. He's got himself his weird javelin sword thing, and himself a nice wee shield. So it's nice. No wrist articulation, which can suck a wee bit. He has nothing really sort of at the arm or whatever. His arms are basically up and down, and that's really it. You can sort of angle them out, but you're here, and that's maybe about it. He doesn't really have much in the way of a thigh swivel, but the hips are on a ball joint, and 90-degree bend at the knee. All in all, though, he's a cracking figure. I mean, all the bots that have really picked their ones that they actually like, but I love all the animated ones. I love how much personality they have, and I love how fantastic they look. So, a wee bit shorter there than probably what I would have liked in a Transformer, but again, it's not a problem. He looks good, and I think he works well for the animated line, So, there we go. That was number 2, and we have ourselves animated Sentinel Prime. Another wee cracking figure. Alright folks then, so moving on now to number 3. Here we go. So up next we have ourselves Generations Astrotrain. Name didn't slip my mind at all. Now, triple changer, which obviously can lead to some problems. So he has a train mode, which is effectively a train from here. The rest of it is an upside down shuttle. They're trying to make you think that it's not by having, again, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this here, but there's like 3 wee indents which are almost like windows in line with here, and they're trying to make you think that because of that it's a train with rockets in the back. It's not. It's a train from here. That's an upside down shuttle. But Transformers, I'll take what I can get. Now, I know you can't see this, but he rolls pretty well actually in train mode, so he does, which is good. Other than that there, it's really just a big straight thing, and that's all I'm going to say about that there. It's a rocket powered train. Be nice, to be perfectly honest, if we had those over here. Might make my job a bit easier or quicker. So to transform him into shuttle mode, which is very straightforward, basically you're going to take what were the sort of fake train bits there. They're going to fold out, and as you can see, we now have a shuttle and a train. And what we will do is we will split the front end of the train, if I can, and it just turns around, ball joint here, turns around and slots in, which is a wee bit annoying, but it'll slot in somewhere. And this folds round. The front wheels of the train, there's 2 wee notches where they can fit in, which helps obviously peg them in as well, so they'll peg into the wings. The jetpack here at the back comes up, folds around like so. That wee bit there that will become his chest in bot form goes up like so, and there you have your shuttle mode, which is, in my opinion, more convincing than the train mode. Now, all being well, if you were to take away these side panels here, it looks more like a shuttle going down here. It just happens to have the front half of a train stuck on either side. And of course got rockets, that's fine. Unlike a train, it's meant to have rockets. And there's the front of it, you can have wheels pop out. Again, rolls pretty well. So to me, it's the more convincing of the 3 modes, I guess you could say, but it's more convincing than the 2 alt modes anyway that he's got. Now, once he's in this form anyway, it's easiest to get him into robot form. Now what'll happen is, the front of it splits anyway, it folds up. Basically, for anyone who maybe has Alpha Bravo, it's basically Alpha Bravo speed transformation. So you do that there. You unpeg the arms here at the back and make sure that they're out because they're obviously pegged into the legs. You pull down the legs, split, job's done. Now the wee tail fin type thing that popped up, that again folds back down. Take the rocket out as well, like with the train mode, goes out and round to the back. But when you pop this down, you can then bring out the helm, and by helm I mean head. And that's that there. Now for the arms, these are obviously going up and down in a peg, so you just separate them at the arm here. The front of the train slides out and that's it. Now I've found that there's not really any way to lock them. Might be the one I own because it was second hand. I got this at Auto Assembly last year, 2014. But if you put the arms around, obviously it can't slot back in. So that's that. And then of course he has himself a nice little gun, which we pop onto his hand. And there you go. You have yourself Astrotrain in robot form. It's a nice little helm. As I say, very funky looking with his wee red dot at the top there. He has the front part of the train there for shoulder pads and more or less the front of a train on his arms. It's a nice gun. And the legs will sort of swivel at the knee, bend. You can't really get much because of the big wing backpack there anyway. And nothing really at the angle except if you want to count that there, but that's just transformation. The arms, there's two ball joints, one at the shoulder, one at the elbow. So it gets a decent range of motion, but you're not really going to lose too much sleep, I think, to be honest, if you can't, masterly pose him anyway. He is a great figure. He's an older figure. I think he could do with an update. But again, considering he was more or less an update anyway, back in the Generations line of whatever it was, 2005 or beyond, I think he was pretty good. As I say, I was glad to get him last year because I now have Blitzwing, Octane and him, so I have my triple changers. I'm happy enough. So yeah, Astrotrain, very good figure, and 3 all round pretty half decent modes. Alright folks, so we're on to number 4. Here we go. For this, we have Generation Scoop. Another figure I picked up last year at Auto Assembly. Now he comes himself with 2 nice wee Target Masters. Get rid of them. Now, really, to be honest, he's an alright body. He's not fantastic. He's nice, chunky, simple transformation. He rolls terribly, but what can you do? He's I can't really say much about him really in alt mode, because alt mode's the weakest for me really, because like when you lift this up, there's just this big gap here. There's, for me there's no way really to peg down his windshield cover, so it looks like he's just running around. I think he should be something out of, I think, Twisted Metal, to be perfectly honest. So alt mode to me is kind of weak. It's also really floppy, like very easily, like the back legs, there's a wee slot for them to go in, but very easily to pop out, and he's running around like this here. The arms down here don't line up too well for me. It might be the one I've got, I don't know. I might be completely mistransformation and the crap out of him, if that is a word. But hey-ho. So I mean, I actually like robot mode an awful lot more than I do in alt mode. Alt mode to me is kind of pants, but in bot mode he has a big chunky tires up here, which give him sort of maybe a bit of an illusion of mass. Down around the back he has 2 big chunky tires. If he was maybe a Voyager or something, you could do something with him, but for a Deluxe it's not really all that bad. The scoop itself folds away quite nicely. You're never really going to get it to fold away properly or break down or whatever, but it's not the worst sitting there in the back just being out of the way. He of course comes with 2 little, as I mentioned, Target Master buddies, so he's at least armed to the teeth. You know, well, one's double barreled, one has and one has one barrel, so three guns, two guns, well, two actual guns with 3 barrels, so yeah, firepower, I guess. He can't fist bump, so he loses points there, but he is a pretty good figure, I think, in bot form. He at least looks sort of chunky, especially up top, to kind of almost be imposing, you know, but unfortunately he's a deluxe, so he's not that imposing, but all round, half decent figure. As I say, I would maybe, you know, it's pretty average. If you get the chance to pick him up, he's the kind of figure that you'd maybe him and have by paying full price. Now I got him for a tenner, as I said last year at Auto Assembly, so to me, that's pretty much the price point you want to pay for him. Scoop. So this is the halfway point anyway, folks. It's number 5. Right. Back on the animated. This is something I picked up at the last Auto Assembly. Animated Deluxe Megatron. Now, whenever I got him, I paid whatever it was for him, I can't even remember. But I got him in a bag with the animated Optimus, which was more the reason I bought it, in all fairness. But I thought, 2 figures, I think it was £15, maybe £20. I thought, what the hell. And I have to admit, Optimus is probably in paper the better figure. But there's just something about this I really like. Now, he's a Cybertronian type helicopter thing, and see, like this, he looks great. As you would imagine a helicopter going. Fantastic. When you look at him like this, and it's basically just a guy ducking like that. From there, you maybe lose a wee bit of its appeal. You know, from the back, everything else, he's grand, but it's just when you start to see a head and he's basically got his arms up trying to cover it, that's where it sort of loses a few points. But it's a really simple transformation, but it's a really effective one, and it's just, to me, he's quite adorable. So to transform him, very straightforward. The fusion cannon comes completely off, so straight away you're left with him like this here. Now, at the very, very back, you basically split and split all the way down the legs there. And the legs just turn around and straighten out. Now, these wee bits here at the end, they fold in and in again, and they create as shin pads anyway. These wee bits here fold out there as feet. What were the tail blades, or the side blades, or whatever they are in a helicopter, they go around to form the heel, or part of it anyway. The landing gear that was at the back folds in, and there's his legs. So it is. And then you just slide these down and round, turn, straighten, and job done. Now, with the fusion cannon, you can pop this up, and you can, one of them straightens, like so, and it goes back down. I really don't see what this is meant to do. I don't know if it's meant to stab some Autobots with, but it's a really crap stabbing weapon, to be perfectly honest. So I never really bother with it. I just like keeping it straight. It looks more, I don't know, better than being the world's crappiest stabbing weapon. Well, it's not the crappiest stabbing weapon. That belongs to Fans Projects, not Slag. Sludge, sorry, not Sludge. Anyway, so there is animated Megatron in robot form. As I say, I haven't picked up the Voyager. I do have the leader class, and I like what the animated line. It's really simple, really straightforward, and it's just brimming with personality. I mean, he has all these wee pink scarred battle damage things around him. That's pretty cool. The arm cannon is alright. It can aim. You know, he can still bend his arm. It doesn't really get in the way of him doing anything. So it's very nice. Head turns nicely. Arm, you know, you can get a few decent poses out of him there. The knee bends about, just shy of 90 degrees, I think, if you want to be exact. The one thing maybe someone can answer me is, because again, he didn't come with any instructions, but his waist, you turn him and he goes back. I don't know if that's meant to be some gimmick, or what, I really don't know, because it turns like that and comes back. But if you turn him the other way, he just stays that way. So I don't know if it's some gimmick I'm missing out on, or I'm breaking the figure, or what. But hey ho. So that was number 5. That was a halfway point. Alcohol is starting to hit me a wee bit. So folks, here we are, number 6. Let's do this. For number 6, we have ourselves Generations Wheeljack. Something I picked up this year at Auto Assembly. Something the first time whenever I was transforming him, I was terrible at. I don't know what it was. I just could not work anything out. But hey ho. So in car form, I think he's pretty awesome. He's got a nice wee extended bumper down here for, I don't know, ramming pedestrians, I guess. I don't know what weapons are meant to be, or whatever. Maybe they're meant to be just sticks, beaten sticks, I don't know. But they're down here on, so whenever he's cruising along, they at least look like they're part of his car mode, which I don't know if that's intentional or not, but to me looks pretty decent. He's got nice paintwork, so it is. Straightforward Autobot symbol on the top, and he rolls actually quite well. So yes, straightforward, nice, very nice and simple car form. To transform, we're going to get rid of his, I really don't know what these are, but anyway, paint sticks we'll call them. The entire back half of him will basically pop up and come down, having his arms flailing about there. The legs, once you break them apart, they will slide down, but not as far as you'd think, like what other Transformers they've needed to. The wee ramming parts at the front, they fold down, bringing the wheels and a wee bit of heel there for them. The doors will fold round. You then pull them out, and they will be angled up. And they have a wee bit here that folds out, give them a nice wee fancy wing. The arms at the top here, we will take them down and round, and of course you just push the remaining sort of main part of the car up, and that expands the arms out and the head up. He has his gun stored here in the back. Push that down, put the wheels forward at least so they're a wee bit out of the way, and that is pretty much Generations Wheeljack. A straightforward basic figure, and that's it. You know, there's not much more, unfortunately, to be said about it. So, Generations Wheeljack, folks. Right, folks, so this is number 7. So, here we go. Realised I forgot to lift them up there. Anyway, what we have here is Beast Wars, Construct Bots, Shockwave. Now, I know no one really cares for these guys. I like them, I have to admit. I think there's a lot of fun to be had. Now, don't get me wrong, they're very flawed as well in the fact that everyone that I own kind of has the same transformation except for this guy, and even then he doesn't have that much of a difference in his transformation. So in car mode, being a Shockwave, it kind of sucks that he's a car and not, well, like a tank from Beast Hunters or a gun or anything else. But he's got a pretty sweet car mode, and he's got a nice bumper there to basically ram the crap out of anything. Tusks, because apparently your car needs tusks, and that's really it. Hands sticking out the back there, fair enough, but he's got clips and everything else running around him. Now, to transform this guy, I'm going to remember anyway, it's not that difficult. The arms here are clipped on at the back, which they just basically clip off, and that's really it for his arms. Now, what happens is here with his feet, they untab. There's a tab here, I don't know if I can go. So they untab out down here. Well, what is his back? But what is different about him compared to all the other ones is he has himself a nice wee lever here, which if you get the arms out of the way, he just levers up. That's it. That is all there is to him. once you've done that, his legs, you fold them down and you straighten them up. And of course, you can pop apart. The back part here comes down, that exposes there. Now, like I said, you untab his arms, but after you've untabbed his arms, you don't do anything with him. But the only real bit is the lever at the back, and then once that's done, you just straighten up his legs. So, and all that really is actually is turning around the feet. So he has a very, very basic transformation, but like, the only reason I'm reviewing him is because the wife picked him up for a $5, which I'm very pleased with, because while the transformation is terrible and they all know it's a bad choice, I think he looks pretty cool. So it is, you know, he doesn't have, like with other car modes in the Construct Bots, the forearm kibble that's like the entire back half of a car basically swinging off their forearms. You know, he has 2 wheels, fair enough. He has the wheels down here, but he looks really badass. He has a, you see it there, he's a very nice head sculpt. Now, weapon wise, what is pretty good is he comes with a sword, but I'm going to use that for someone else, honestly. But he has himself a nice gun, and this bit here which goes in the back. But the gun, it clips on over his hand, so it gives the illusion that he has. You can click this in right at the back, so you can. So it gives you a very Beast Hunter-y look. I think he looks great. Very straightforward, very simple, very nice. Okay, folks. So here we have number 8. So let's do this. For number 8, we have ourselves Fall of Cybertron, Grimlock. A very nice figure in Dino mode. I have to admit, I think I prefer him in Dino mode than I do Bot mode. He has himself a nice wee LED head, mouth thing. Not too bad, not too great, but to be honest, that kind of sums this guy up. Not too bad, not too great. In Dino mode, he looks alright. Has himself a sword and a shield, so he at least comes with a half decent weapon. Now, tail, there's nothing moves there. He kind of gets basically a bend of the knee in his dino legs. The neck moves a wee bit, and the arms move up and down. That's about it. So, Dino mode, not too bad. He can sort of munch stuff. That's about it. All in all, it looks pretty good, but of course when you look at him here and you sort of see him from the front, this is where his problems lie. I'm really looking forward to the Planet X's version of him, because this is a figure that to me, Grimlock's very simple. So he is in terms of, well, he's a simple character, but he's a simple figure in that everyone expects the head to, you know, go back and break down, the wings to fold out, you know, and it does this a wee bit differently. You know, you still have the arms from the dino legs, so which is what everyone's sort of expecting. You know, these fold out, and that's really it. You know, the only difference is, rather than the under part of them stepping up and becoming the chest, it's at the back. So this comes down, folds around and goes in. So he still has a wee bit of back kibble here, but as anyone I've ever spoke to has said, you know, Grimlock is one of the few characters where the kibble is actually sort of part of him. It's that, you know, this is it. He's meant to have wings from the neck, and the dino arms are meant to be part of him. You know, it's part of his character design. So, you know, trying to change him is a wee bit, I think anyway, it's like trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, there's not much point. For the legs, his actual dino or robot legs, the tail just splits in half and the 2 bits come down, and that's it, done. Now, that is Grimlock in robot form. The biggest problem with him really is that you can see through him. I don't know if you can see it here, but basically his chest is so hollow that as I'm holding him, I can see my hand through him. You know, there's absolutely nothing at the back to close up, close round, do anything. The head sort of goes in and tries to fill it up. I obviously do realise that the dino arm's fallen off. I'm not sure why that is, but we'll worry about that later. But, you know, that's it. And obviously it tries that with, when the head lights up, it's to light up his chest. It's an alright gimmick, but to be honest, I would have preferred if they just lost that part of it and just made like a better transformation. All in all, though, it's not the greatest figure. Like I said before, the best, you know, there's more that could be done with him. But, you know, the legs, he gets a nice bend at the knee. That's great. Every so often the shin sort of pops out, fair enough. Then you've got, put the other dino arm back on. It's got 90-degree bend at the arm, a wee bit of wrist swivel, bicep swivel. You know, you've got thigh swivel. He's got good articulation. The chest is big enough that he seems imposing, but if he just was just a little bit taller, I think it would be better, because it feels like whenever you take the dino, the head out of the way, and you look at the back of him, there's nothing there compared to some other figures like Generation Springer. You got a triple changer, he's solid. There's not really anything hollow to him. This guy, he feels like he should be bigger because he is hollower, but obviously he's not. So you're thinking to yourself, I really should be getting more from a mummy. But hey ho, like I said, there's room for improvement. Kind of sums up the Grimlock of Fall of Cybertron. Now, like I said as well, I'll be looking forward to getting the Planet X version, because I think really that'll just blow away any competition when it comes really to the third-party Grimlocks, because I think Planet X have really, really just knocked it out of the park. But anyway, so that was number 8. That is Fall of Cybertron, Grimlock. Alright folks, number 9. So, let's, without further ado, get this underway again. Right, so, for number 9, final Decepticon figure that we have ourselves Beast Wars. Oh my god, the name just completely escaped me there. We have ourselves Beast Wars Dreadwing. Now we'll get rid of his weapon. He's a plane, and like with a lot of planes, he suffers from visible hand syndrome and visible chicken feet syndrome. And as a plane, he's alright. Bit chunky. I really don't know why they did him, because, well, spoiler alert, Dreadwing dies before the beast hunt kind of begins. So, anyway, Beast Hunter's Dreadwing. He's a plane, and that's really it for him. Now, to transform him, 4 arms. Oh my god, he's really loose. Anyway, 4 arms. They just untab and you straighten them out, and that's his arms done. That's it. They just untab from the wing and done. The legs, we just untab them, and the whole base of him comes down, swings round, and back up. These here are his shoulder bits. They just pop down. The entire front nose cone comes down. That's it. And about the fanciest part of his transformation is the wing bits, which we will get them to extend like a little pretty butterfly. And that is pretty much him done. So there you have it. That is Beast Hunter's Dreadwing, which is really, I don't know why they did him. I really don't. I mean, he's an alright figure. He, again, like with most plane bots, suffers from like a lot of really weird design choices. But he has himself some nifty shoulder pads. He has himself some chicken feet, because who doesn't want chicken feet, I guess. And he has himself a wee bit of kibble, I guess. They've taken the wings and gone, rather than just have wings at the back, let's make them look pretty. So, he has pretty wings. He comes with a nice weapon. The weapon splits in two, and he has himself either an axe or a gun. And that's really it. To be honest, I thought I could talk about him more, but I can't. It's Dreadwing, back from the dead. Yay. Folks, so we have our final one, number 10. Let's get this done before I forget. So, for number 10, we have ourselves animated Arcee, which is almost my latest purchase. Warriors Unite Manosaur just arrived, but we'll not worry about that. Animated Arcee. Absolutely class. Rolls like a trooper. Car mode. Nice wee futuristic update, I guess, of the Generations 1 car design. Looks cool. You still kind of know it's Arcee. Very funky. Now, the only thing that I would kind of criticise her for is she has visible head and hand syndrome, but because of her transformation, she is basically going, you can't see me, you can't see me. That is it. Because to transform her, you take the... Oh, crap. Oh, I missed that shot. Anyway, we'll put that back on and we'll start again. So, to transform her, you're going to take this part and you're going to fold these back. Now, as you can see, vehicle hands. And now, you can see her. And with this, they fold round and done. So now you can see her. The waist basically then rotates all the way around. The legs straighten out, wee bit folds round, toes straighten up, wee white bits fold down for reasons. Whew. And done. So, there you have yourself a nice little animated Arcee. Now she has two swords here, which look pretty cool, I have to admit. She has herself a nice wee sort of, like a really long wrist swivel, because it kind of swivels like up here, but hey, elbow joint, arm, shoulder joint, that's fine. She has herself, to me anyway, a really stern look, which, as I've only recently watched animated line, it's not bad. Very cartoon accurate. It's just a pity she's not maybe smiling or looking happier, but it's still like a gritty look. I don't know. I do like it. But there you go. You have yourself animated Arcee looking all stern, serious, and everything else in between. So all in all, I would say this is a cracking figure. I picked her up on eBay for £30. So that was my 10 bots, my 10 shots. Tell me what you think, really, to be honest. If you liked it, hated it, I really did actually try to talk as briefly as possible on each bot. Fair enough, 5 minutes on a Transformer is pretty good, I guess, but whenever obviously you times that by 10, this is going to be a really boring video for a lot of people to watch and laugh at me getting drunk and talking crap. Anyway, so I don't know if this thing still applies, but nomination wise, there's a good friend of mine, Stephen McCartney, who I would like to see trying this, and there was another guy, a guy we met at Auto Assembly, me and Stephen Ronald. If you're watching this here, or if you ever get a chance to catch it, whenever you get a chance, do the same thing basically. So, folks, that was my 10 bots, my 10 shots. Number 11, I'm continuing on to get pitched tonight. I'll see you later.